move to accept the director's report and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Director's report stands as presented. Okay, we'll move down to the public comment section. Everybody in the audience, this is your turn to ask any questions, or I have a couple questions, okay? On your profit and loss statement, GPS tracking service, can you explain that to me?
Yeah, no problem. What we have in each truck, we have a Fleetmatics system, and that Fleetmatics is tracked by satellite. So whenever our trucks are out anywhere, as soon as we start the truck up, it sends a signal and tells us our truck has been started. It lets me know how long it's been idling, and I can go back and track that truck wherever it's at. So in cases where it's worked out for us is we had an incident where it was going down, I think it was 23, one of the smaller roads, and our trucks had met and smacked mirrors with another vehicle. And at that point they said we were speeding and we had issues with that. I went back and pulled the Fleetmatics file, and indeed we was going 5 miles an hour at the time of impact. So we was able to go back and show actually how fast we was at, where we was at, and we can pull that out at any time. The other thing it's good for is the 911 system has it in their computer systems now. So say our truck goes out and they get lost, or they need to know where a place is at, they can actually go on Fleetmatics and see where our truck's at and tell us right, left turn, 3 streets up. They can actually flood that out and go right through and see where we're at. So the Fleetmatics is designed for that. Plus, if the trucks are ever stolen, I can make a phone call to Fleetmatics, and as soon as that truck's shut off, they will kill the system, and that truck will not be able to be restarted until I tell them to restart the codes. So it's a fail-safe on them being stolen also.
Is this the price for every 3 months you have to pay?
I believe, Chuck.
It's every month.
Every month.
Every month.
Every month, yeah. We've got a fee for,
That's $320 every month.
No, it's 160 a month. That one I think.
That's a 3-month
Yeah.
statement.
Okay.
so yeah, it's
Right.
$100 some a month.
Okay.
Let me add one more thing to that too, because I would get emails from Fleetmatics as well that would tell me if the vehicle had gone beyond the posted speed limits for the area. So he gets an alert every time somebody speeds, or if
The truck idles for,
idles for,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
You have lights on it out there.
yeah, I've got it set at 80 miles an hour. If they exceed 80 miles an hour, it flags me and sends me a page and says your truck 606 is at this location and has excess to speed limit of 80 miles an hour set forth. And I can go back and see where they're at and see what's going on. And also, if the truck is idling longer than 15 minutes, it sends a flag out to me that your truck's idling longer than 15 minutes. And you can set your perimeters on this. Say if you want to set the truck to idle longer or less, you can go in there and set it, and it'll send alerts for that. And you can adjust your speed limits to what you want to adjust your speed limits to also.
So if you got a patient going to the hospital, you're not going to go over 80 miles an hour, that's what you're telling me?
Normally, I don't know of any reason to really exceed 80 miles an hour.
Okay.
I mean, that would be interesting to me, because I ask them when they do hit that number, I come back and say, what type of call did you have? Why did you exceed 80? And a lot of times they'll tell me, well, I was doing about 75, 76, and then going down the hill, it coasted and went into that speed. And at that point, I go back and look at Fleetmatics and say, yeah, you was coming down Bridgeport Hill. Okay, understood, and we're good to go.
Okay. Uniform, $1,917.04. Is that for October through December, or what is that?
That's just a supply whenever we had some old shirts and stuff we had to replace. It's not really a monthly budget where we buy uniforms and stuff. It's just whenever we run low, or some of the shirts get destroyed, or someone needs to replace their pants, or job shirts or jackets. We'll take and buy a bulk of them at that point to replace them and keep them for the guys.
but it is 3 months.
They also included the jacket you got on.
Yes.
right now.
The job shirts.
And we do have an annual budget for uniforms in our budget.
It's part of our budget. We are under budget on that.
So that's not something we spend every month.
Okay. Insurance for employee, $1,503. Can you explain that to me?
That's Randy's family's health care. We pay that for him in lieu of giving him a pay raise. We have paid his health insurance, and we pay it directly to the county commission.
And who authorized that?
The board.
The
I don't think you're authorized to do that.
Beth Keller told us we were.
She said there are other employees that it's doing it that are commission employees.
I haven't seen that on any budget reports that I've seen thus far.
It might be somewhere else in there. We didn't know where to put it ourselves, and that's where they told us to put it as far as where it was at.
Do you know what other agencies?
No, I just know that Beth Keller told me that there are other employees, maybe just one, I don't know. I'm saying an S, but it could be that it's just one other person that they have, because I think the commission pays for single coverage.
Yeah.
And so if you want family coverage, it has to be paid by the employee.
And that's what's happening here, the employee's paying it?
No, our board has voted to pay for his family insurance
My
coverage.
salary's like 46, but they set me at 40. So in lieu of giving me a raise and asking the county commission for more money to increase my pay, I told my family needs health insurance, and the board voted to give my family health insurance and pay that extra cost, which takes me right around 46. And that's what they did that for. They did it to try to keep it out of the county commission's budget.
So at the time, you checked with Beth Keller then? Is what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yes.
Well, why would she not tell me the name of the employee that this was for?
We have no answers on behalf of Beth Keller for you. You would have to ask her
I did
that.
ask. I did ask.
I think that it's got something to do with, I don't know what the reason would be, but I think it has something to do with the fact she doesn't need to be publicized. Why would one?
We can't answer for that.
No, we can't do the record. We approve your report.
It was approved, it's in our minutes. I mean,
We're not hiding it. It's there. I mean, if it's wrong, we gotta fix it. We'll fix it.
Well, I think it's wrong because he just stated that in lieu of giving you a raise, the board can't give you a raise. The commission has to do that.
all right, but we can provide other benefits. I don't think there's anything that prohibits that.
I think there is.
Well, what is it?
I don't know, but I think there is.
What about the other employees of the county?
I mean, we don't answer to the other employees of the county.
Well-
We're in charge of running the ambulance authority.
Yeah,
I mean, that's you and Mr. Sandora's responsibility.
right. So if we weren't informed, how are we supposed to know?
Everything's public. We've had public meetings. We've had public meetings that people don't come to. They're in our minutes on our website that people don't visit. I mean, we're not hiding anything here.
Well, when it's done in the manner that it was done, it would appear to me
It was done at a public meeting, Mr. Robinson. It was
In
done-
what
and you chose
manner
not
are
to
you
come to this
referring
meeting.
that,
to.
that it wasn't brought to the attention.
It was. It's on our quarterly reports.
It's on the quarterly report, starting July.
I think that's
I
correct.
think so.
Okay. Now, you said in lieu of a raise. Once again, don't you think that should be discussed? Because other county employees are not given a raise.
We did discuss it with Beth Keller.
And we discussed it in a public open meeting. I'm not sure where you think else it should have been discussed. I'm not sure I understand that.
Well, the problem, as I see it, is that it appears that the board feels that they don't have to correspond or respond to the, I won't say respond because you've responded, that you don't need to discuss this with anyone prior to and allow for the input.
I think this was discussed because of the way the title was done.
Well, that may be, the point is, that things are going to change. And I can only speak for myself, but I want to know when things like this. You see, the problem as I see it, and I've been in business for a lot of years, and I've been in a lot of different businesses. The problem that I see is the appearance. It appears to me that there was an effort to conceal. Now,
Sure, I'll dive in. The problem as I see it is that you haven't come to our meetings. This is the second meeting that I remember you being to, maybe the third. Okay? Our meetings are open to the public. They're posted on the courthouse. I believe the agendas are still sent to the newspaper. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, we put the information out there. They may not still be sent to the newspaper. I'm not 100% sure of that. I know that we had a policy to send them there at one point, and that if the ball's gotten dropped there, then that's fine. We need to make sure we're getting that published. But they're posted at the courthouse as required. They're open meetings under the state law. We're following that protocol. We're doing what we're supposed to do. It's not our fault that people don't come to the meetings.
I'm not referring to myself, because I wasn't on the county commission at the time.
You're still a Doddridge County citizen. You have every right to
Well,
come
yes,
to the
I could
meeting.
have come to the meeting, and that's quite obvious. However, what I'm saying is, this should have been communicated to the county commission. Now, if you communicated that to Shirley Williams, then you know, that's, she's a county commissioner, and that's fine.
Commission at the time.
Pardon?
And the president of the commission at the time. So
Yeah.
that would be our point person. Now I understand Mr. Sandora will be the point person.
But, and I can't say why that was never discussed. I assume it wasn't discussed in a county commission meeting, and I can't answer or respond to that. But my opinion is it should have.
Well,
And-
it doesn't affect the county commission's budget, though. It affects the ambulance.
You see, that's part of the problem here as I see it. Part of the problem is that you all feel that you are a totally independent agency. And I feel that you're an agency of the county government, just like every other agency is. I know that in other counties that all funds that are generated by runs are county funds. And all expenditures are county expenditures, and that's, you are a division or a department of county government.
But we were set up to operate as an independent agency. The county commission that appointed us wanted us to operate as an independent agency, frankly.
I don't think that's the law. Can you tell
I
us
think
what-
it is the law. I think if you look up the code section that applies to ambulance authorities, that the commission is given the authority to decide how to run it. In this situation, they gave us more autonomy than some commissions give other ambulance authorities.
Okay, well,
I mean, that's fine. It can go either way. That autonomy can be taken away from the county by the county commission. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it can't.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you may not have your own vision of where we need to go. What I'm saying is, if you want to look at things that happened in the past, I don't think it's fair to say that we've been hiding the ball when we've been publicly noticing every meeting. And if people don't attend, there's nothing we can do to force people to come to our meetings.
no, I agree with that. I mean, what you just said there about the public attending, I agree with. Like I said, the perception, you know, when I saw that, I mean, I guessed what it was, but you know, you answer the question here. You answer the question openly, and I don't have any problem with that, with the answer. What I have a problem with is the difference in treatment of the county employees. So that can be addressed at a future time.
Mr. Robson, let me say something here. I think that it would help you commissioners in the future. We was thrown into this thing, and quite frankly, I think, considering everything that has happened, we didn't do too awful bad a job setting this thing up. and moving forward. We made mistakes, sure. What's corrected were some mistakes that we made. But I think one thing that's going to help you in the future is when we put the new budget together, you have a general budget. And then you need several line items where each one of these falls into a certain category. And if you come up at the end of a quarter and you spend too much money on this, then you can look and see, well, that's not working. You need to take some more out of here and put it over into there. That way, you get a better look and a better feeling of just exactly where everything is spent and what it's spent on. Am I making any sense?
Oh, I am very familiar with the budget process.
I understand that.
And
I said that because when I was working for the state, I was in charge of a $5 million budget for this District 4. And we had a budget about 3 times that thick. Well, we had a budget just plain for uniforms, for oil, for gas, you know. And if you went over that budget, within that year, you took some out of another place. But you knew at the end of the quarter exactly where you stood on each one of them items. You knew exactly where your money was being spent at. That's what I'm trying to get at.
well, I don't have any.
If we can do that in the upcoming budget, I think that will help.
I don't have any. I don't have any problem with the transferring between line items. I mean, I understand that.
Tammy, you have a question?
Yes, what month was this decided and where can I find it in the minutes?
The minutes are on the website.
Yeah, you just,
I know the minutes are on the
I
website.
don't
What
know
month?
off the top of my head, I don't know that we can, I don't recall either.
What-
But the payments would have started July 1, so I would look March, April, May, June, I would look, because we made the decision far enough in advance so that he wouldn't miss the open enrollment period. He had to wait for the open enrollment period. So I don't know what month it was.
So it'd be prior to July 1.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you what month it was, but I can tell you that no decision was made by this board without the county commission's knowledge, at least the president of the county commission's knowledge. And I think where Greg's got, I see where Greg's coming from. He's got X number of county employees whose family members are not covered by insurance. I can see that.
Well, there's no doubt there's going to be some tough decisions that's going to have to be made in the future. But, you know, where we make them at, what do we do, what do we cut here, what do we do here, what do we do there? You know, we realize.
Was that all your questions,
We're very
Ralph?
much in a learning process with you all.
I understand the directive that was given to you all. I didn't agree with the decision, but I wasn't in a position not to agree other than personally. But it appeared, like I say, I don't know, I wasn't party to the conversations, but it appeared that you were given carte blanche to do whatever you want. And I will say this, and I don't know if you actually made the statement, but it was brought to the attention of the board that other agencies were being cut. And it was attributed to you that you said, I don't care about any other agency. Now, I don't know. I'm saying that was attributed to me. The
Are you
point-
talking to Clint
Clint.
personally?
I talked to Clint personally or the board?
Well, what I was told was that Clint said that he didn't care about other agencies in the county.
Well, I don't recall saying that, but
Okay.
it's certainly not my responsibility. And that's not to say that I may or may not. I mean, I don't recall everything that I've ever said. I
Yeah.
don't keep a transcript of things. But the reality is that as an ambulance authority member, it's not my job to worry about what's happening with the sheriff's department. That's ultimately the county commission's job. I mean, that's, and I don't know if the cuts were made in the sheriff's department. I don't know where cuts were made. I know that we sit here and we submit what we think it takes to provide the right level of emergency services in the county. And the decisions, other than submitting those budgets, are out of our hands. I mean, that's the reality of it. So I don't recall saying that. I'll
Okay,
say that.
that's fine.
So is that where you got your opinion that you stated at the county commission meeting? You said, you were talking about us having backroom deals, which I
No,
do
I-
not know what you're referring to there. And I think you said callous disregard at one point in time. Is that because someone told you that
Well,
Clint said something?
that was part of it. You see, the decision making that the Ambulance Authority Board gave me personally, and I can only speak personally. I don't, I can't speak for anyone else. But that was my opinion, was that you weren't concerned about any other organization in the county. That was my opinion, and that was what I was voicing the other day at the county commission meeting.
So what were you referring to when you talked about backroom deals?
I wasn't necessarily referring to you all. The statement that I was making was that it was not going to occur on this county commission. We aren't going to I will say, Randy said he wanted to sit down with Butch and I privately. We can't do that. Number one, we're all subject to open meeting laws. Every organization in Doddridge County that's part of the government, have elected officials, is subject to open meeting laws. And so, we can't sit down and see, that's the type of thing. If you look in past years, that kind of thing has happened. And just to give you another example is, that's the way it appeared to me with this situation with the reimbursement. Now, since you said that you discussed that with Shirley, I can't answer why that wasn't brought out in the county commission meeting, but I can't answer that. My
Mr. Robinson,
opinion.
let me say something. I think, in all reality, just like you heard that Clint made a comment like that. Let me say something. If you hear that a board member makes a comment or something like that, and I hope and pray you go to that source instead of believing someone out there in the county that says it, because that's one of our big major problems with this county, is too many people talking, not enough listening. I can
I'll
assure
agree
you,
with that.
I can assure you, as long as I'm sitting on this board, there will be no backroom deals of any kind whatsoever. It will be all out in the public, or I will not be here. I can assure you that. So please don't take what the people out there tell you. If you believe it, come to that person, regardless of who that person is. Get the answer from that person and then make up your mind what it is.
Well, I wasn't in a position then. I am now. Consequently, I've asked.
And I may apologize for calling Mr. Sandora. The reason why I called him to ask if I could speak with you guys, because as I explained to him, there was rumors rampant about what the commission was going to do to us and how they was going to do it. And, you know, I've got 20-some employees that I'm scared to death, you know, because my job is the big daddy to take care of them, you know, so I was worried about that. And we've sat down and talked with Mr. Sandora before at Smithburg, Chuck and I, about some questions, stuff, concerns that he had and so forth. So that's why I thought it was all right to do that. But when he informed me that he couldn't do that, you know, I don't want to do anything illegal, so I thank him for his time and that, but I didn't have any malice.
Well, one-on-one,
That's
they
what I was about to say,
could.
nothing in the open meeting laws prohibits a
One-on-one.
county commissioner from meeting
Yeah.
with anyone to get educated about anything. And frankly, I would like to see that happen. I'd like for people to understand how we got to be here, how we came about, and the reason that we're where we are now. And I think that a lot of that's been pushed aside based on rumors and innuendos and things that other people have told other people, as opposed to actually getting facts. Because I know that I haven't been called frankly, by either of you to find out exactly what's going on.
Well, and I can say this too, that when you made your comment about backroom deals, if you read the newspaper, you will see that that comment was attributed to us. So you saying that was a general statement about a whole lot of things as opposed to being us directly, I think you need to publicly then clarify that, because here in print, again, in the local newspaper, is the assumption that we are doing something dishonest and we're doing backroom deals. And that came from your statement. So, I mean, I don't know. I felt that at the time that you said it, that it was not appropriate for me to ask you about that, because I knew you were coming to our meeting anyway, and I figured, well, we would just ask you once you got here. But I think people, even Mr. Schaefer stood up in the meeting and talked about there not being any transparency. But there again, Mr. Schaefer has never attended any of our meetings. You know, so the people who are complaining that they don't know what's going on, a lot of times are the very people who never show up here to ask questions and are not involved enough. They're just content to sit back and formulate their own opinions based on what so-and-so said about what so-and-so else said, or what's on topics, or, you know, our doors have always been open. I've heard Randy repeatedly say our doors are open. I just don't want there to be, where we're wrong, and it, you know, needs to be stated we are wrong, and we need to make it right. And we have been caught in times past. I have had additional training. I've gone to Ori Ash's office. You know, we're constantly trying to educate ourselves so that we are doing things appropriately. But one of the things...
We had an open meeting law training not
That's
that long
right,
ago.
we did. We had, and in fact,
We had Teresa
you were invited.
come up
but-
here, yeah.
Right. But,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah,
distract you.
I lost my train of thought there, but,
Well, let me say something
Yeah.
on this. I picked this paper today, and I don't know Mr. Schaefer, okay? But he has questions about finances and revenues of the agency.
oh, that's what I want
I
to
told
say.
Mr. Sandora in our meeting a year ago, 6 to 18 months ago with Randy, if you had any questions about anything to do with finances, all you had to do was call me. Have you ever called me?
Me?
Yes.
But something that you said about revenues and expenses being paid out of the county coffers. And we went, Randy, Chuck and I went and visited several ambulance authorities. As a fact-finding committee, we went and visited a whole lot of other people, but we specifically went to Braxton County. And Braxton County, I believe, is set up, if I remember correctly, Braxton County, their revenue goes into the sheriff's department, and their expenses are paid out of that same thing, out of the sheriff's department. But not so in Gilmer County. They're set up differently. And these were some of the things that we were finding out, is that there isn't a whole lot of uniformity within ambulance authorities. I had even talked to Gail Dragoo, who is one of the regional directors, about could there not be some training specific to ambulance authorities? They have an annual EMS conference every year. Why couldn't they have like a finance meeting so that all the members of the ambulance authorities who are in attendance could get some additional training there? I was looking for opportunities. Randy, you know, we've all been looking for opportunities. We've gone to Ritchie County. Ritchie County, that's the third one that we visited. I mean, they're set up pretty independently. They get money from the commission, and then they also have a levy there. But all their employees are employees of Ritchie County Ambulance Authority. They're not commission employees. So there's 3 different examples, you know, of ambulance authorities. And then we were set up as this hybrid where we were going to do our own billing, we were going to pay all of our own expenses, we were going to operate our own board, and you all have said repeatedly, why is there no commissioner on our board? Well, the county commission set us up without a commissioner on our board. You've elected to change that, that's fine. But when we were first started, we had no employees. We were just a board, and we were working for a year just with the emergency squad, trying to help them meet their needs. We paid for them to get additional training. We worked as best as we could for a year. Mary Jane Schaefer was the president at that time, and I was the president of our board. At the end of that year, when we were asked by the commission why we had not yet hired a director and why we had not purchased our vehicles and started our agency.
And we also had trouble negotiating contracts
Yes,
at that time.
then that was when
well.
we had trouble negotiating that contract, that's true. But that's when we made the offer to buy out the emergency squad, so we didn't have to go through this huge, expensive alternative. But when Donnie Lindsay was hired, we had our own separate tax ID number. We thought we were going to be independent, like Ritchie County. That was the understanding of our board at that time. We were informed then, when Donnie Lindsay was hired, that no, we were going to take in our revenues, we were going to pay our expenses, and all the employees would be employees of the commission. So all of this was not a backroom deal. You know, it was all handled openly and publicly with the commission as it existed. And that's how we have been operating ever since.
Well, obviously, you took offense to the comment backroom deal.
Oh, yeah, I did.
And like I said,
personally,
it wasn't, what I was trying to get across was that we're going to do things open, above board, compliance with the law, and there's not going to be any, and like I say, I wasn't, you know, you may have interpreted it that way, but it was not intended to or directed at the ambulance authority. It was across the board.
and I can accept that across the board, but I did feel that personally.
Well,
I felt like you were
I can't
saying that
Thank you for telling
personally to
us.
us.
Yeah.